Welcome in to Kick in the Rear podcast, episode 8. My name is Joe Yarshin. Today, we're going to be reviewing the book Who, Not How by Dan Sullivan. He is the founder of Strategic Coach, has written several other books, and is a successful entrepreneur that discusses the formula to achieve bigger goals through accelerating teamwork. I loved this book, and it is a business book. It's going to have application to real estate investing. So I think this is a good fit for today's review, and I look forward to getting into it. So let's dive right in. We begin with the introduction. Dan Sullivan discusses the importance of who and not how by showcasing Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. Some people think he's the greatest athlete of all time, but certainly Michael was no exception to the who, not how dogma, where Michael individually was a talent unlike anyone else. And it took the who in the equation to bring him an NBA championship, starting with Scottie Pippen and other teammates really that brought him to a higher level of excellence. And then showcasing that team talent was their coach, Phil Jackson, in the triangle offense. So he talks about that structure and how they were able to achieve greatness by using the team capacity of basketball rather than a bunch of individuals. This was a great structure to the book to kind of showcase what it is about. And it's not a sports book, but I love that reference right away because of my fandom of Michael Jordan. Growing up in Illinois, you kind of know who Michael Jordan is. If you don't, you live under a rock. So in chapter 1, Dan goes right into the hows and the whos. So he talks about the word how to accomplish a task limits you to your own knowledge and capabilities. The word how requires that you be the one to engage your time and attention into a particular task. How decreases your freedom of time. Contrastly, he discusses who. The word who immediately connects you with different knowledge, insights, and capabilities. Who is about getting the desired result as effectively as possible. Who can immediately free up hundreds of hours, which then you can spend in better, more meaningful ways. Who expands your vision for what is possible because you no longer see yourself as the sole means of achieving the result. And then finally, self-expansion is a core human motivation, and it occurs through the different who's in our life. So moving on, chapter 2, the takeaways here, a lot of takeaways at the end of each chapter. People waste a large portion of their lives procrastinating. A lot of the books I've reviewed so far go into this topic, but procrastination is the byproduct of having a goal and asking how instead of the question, who can help me with this problem? Procrastination has many negative effects, such as decreased well-being, frustration, and ultimately a loss of ambition. Paradoxically, though, procrastination is actually wisdom because it is your inner genius saying, this goal is amazing, but you're not the one to do everything involved. So if you listen to that intuition a little bit, you can figure out how to solve your problem by who, not how. Leadership involves being clear and explicit about your vision. Talks about the impact filter as a one-page tool for defining the vision or goal and why it's so important to all who's involved. I have used this impact filter in my real estate investing career. I shared it with somebody who's generating leads for me and gave them clear, concise direction on what I'm looking to accomplish. So I believe that the strategic coach tools at our disposal through this book is really impactful and can be utilized by anybody. It works for me. Maybe it'll work for you as well. Asking the question, who can help me achieve this? May be a stretch if you've never truly committed to huge goals. So defining, writing down those goals and really self-reflecting and committing to them ultimately can help you with that question of who can help you achieve this goal. And then it says there are countless brilliant and capable who's out there waiting and wanting to help you. They need only to hear and understand your vision. Chapter 3. So again, a lot of good takeaways in this one. He discusses how your potential is virtually limitless when you stop asking the how questions and start asking these who questions. When you ask who, you can create results that are 10 times or even 100 times faster than if you ask how. It's kind of a self-limiting belief to ask how you can do something, because it kind of just like makes the task way more difficult than it needs to be. If you have to figure out every minute detail, you can apply the who, not how by personally and professionally having this application. You can free up thousands of future hours by finding different who's in your life. And by freeing up yourself from these hows, you'll have a reborn sense of purpose, clarity. You'll feel like you've been given another life to live. It's how dramatic he says this is. Every 90 days, you can free up your time, energy, and focus by getting who's to support your ambitions in all aspects of your life. That wraps up the part 1 of the book. Next, we'll go into part 2, chapter 4. Some of the takeaways I have here is you can't have money freedom until you achieve time freedom. So understanding what the two of those are. By freeing up your time, you get the invaluable benefit of freeing up your mind. By freeing up your time, you can focus on higher impact activities, such as strategizing or creating, which will automatically increase your income. Love that section. Improving how you spend your time automatically improves your ability to make money. Going into the same idea there, but making the single decision to add a who to a specific area of your life eliminates decision fatigue in that area. If there's ever been a moment in your life, I know for me, weight loss was a big thing. So I made a decision to see a weight loss specialist. And by eliminating all of the hows in my life, how can I fix this? Instead, I said, who can fix this problem? So I went and I saw a doctor. Dr. Jabbar, shout out to you, helped me achieve my weight loss goals. And this book really kind of pinpoints how effective that methodology is. So, if you can find that person that specializes in that area, they're going to do a lot of the legwork for you. You don't have to solve your own problem. They can solve it for you. So eliminating decision fatigue from your life should be one of the primary goals if you want to be a high performer and increase your income. That's what Dan Sullivan says. He pushes this idea a lot in his strategic coach. I'll get into chapter 5 next. I love that chapter 4 was one of my favorites in the book, if not my favorite. Chapter 5, if you're truly committed to a result, you'll need to focus on the who's, not the how. Extreme commitment comes from clarity of vision and the autonomy to execute that vision in whatever way the who sees fit. Transformational leaders invest in their who's. They challenge them, help them to clearly see the vision, and ultimately they get the who's in their life just as committed and invested as they are. So again, this team approach, getting the right person to do the right part of your vision is impactful. I'm trying to practice this immediately in my own journey as best as I can. I have someone helping us with like our yard. So I think that's, I'm not an expert in lawn maintenance, but I have somebody who is, and Lewis does a great job. So we got him, and now, my yard has been transformed from patchy and dead to lush and green. So immediately found a good impact from using that strategy. So without clarity of vision, autonomy is not effective. With clarity of vision, as well as consistent feedback on results, autonomy leads to high performance. According to Dan Sullivan, leaders should be committed to results, not to a particular process. I've heard this a lot reading entrepreneurial books and listening to podcasts from different entrepreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur, everything is results driven, not a process. I recently heard on Alex Hormozy's podcast something really impactful that echoes the same sentiment. He talks about how there's these gurus that discuss millionaire routines or morning routines of millionaires, and he debunks that. He says basically the end result is get the work done. Start with the work. the process doesn't matter. A process can work for some, doesn't have to work for everybody. If there's one person that there's an exception to the rule, then it's not true for everybody. So I love the idea that results driven over a process driven focus. And then rather than micromanaging the process, leadership should provide freedom and autonomy as well as extreme clarity and high standards of excellence. Right away in chapter 6, discusses focusing on how will greatly limit your ability to make money, believing that doing all of the hows yourself is noble is a limiting belief. It's not noble to take on all the responsibility yourself. Something I've learned from a team member of mine is having everybody incorporate and do their role effectively makes everybody better. When you focus on how, it's often based on a scarcity mindset and a cost avoidance. So another common theme I've been reading with entrepreneurial books is the scarcity mindset is a bad thing, and that abundance mindset is the road to success. So I'm trying to apply that in my own situation. If that helps other people, I think scarcity mindset is just very limiting. If everybody's your competition, then it's going to be a very lonely existence. It's going to be a very competitive environment. It doesn't have to be. You could work and collaborate with people, in my opinion. So it goes into trying to avoid costs by engaging in hows will cost you in your future huge in the long run. By seeing who's as an investment rather than a cost, you can quickly 10x or more your income or revenue. So multiply your income by investing in your who's. So by seeing who's as an investment rather than a cost, you can create transformational relationships in which all parties give more than they take rather than transactional ones. And then by seeing yourself as an investment rather than a cost, you can expand your freedom of time, freedom of money, relationship, and purpose. That concludes part 2. In part 3, he goes into like the freedom of relationship. So that's chapter 7. And a lot of the takeaways are on page 118 here. Never enter a relationship without having first created value in that relationship. Just about every single person that I follow in real estate investing, Ken McElroy says this a lot, is you have to provide value first in a relationship before taking value. Never stop creating value and nurturing your relationships. Always ask what's in it for them rather than what's in it for me. Know what the other person cares about. Get to know them, their context, their goals. Give relevant value. Don't waste their time and do your homework. So prepare ahead of time. I think that's great. If you want to develop transformational relationships, approach relationships in a transformational rather than transactional way. He beats that concept to death. It's really good explanation. Bring a result to the table. Make the pie bigger for everyone involved. Don't come with big promises of future results. Bring immediate results. Don't promise what you can't deliver. So don't overpromise and underdeliver. You want to underpromise and overdeliver, if anything. Be a generous giver who's truly committed to service and growth, not status. I like that. He says that be nice to people you meet on the way up because they're the same people you can meet on the way down. Kind of just being humble. Be grateful in large and small ways to the people in your life. Attract incredible abundance. It reminds me of like the law of attraction. Chapter 9, some of the key takeaways. In order to have freedom of relationship, you can no longer engage with people that don't align with your vision, weeding out the people in your life that maybe don't have the same outlook on the long-term plans. You can build buffers and systems to ensure that you no longer directly work with the people who aren't relevant to your goals. And as you say no to people and other opportunities that don't align with the vision of your future self, your confidence will increase. Your team will also become more confident in you as a leader. Your current self no longer tolerates situations and people that your former self once tolerated. That reminds me of Tony Robbins, talks a lot about that. Tony Robbins talks about you get what you tolerate. So I really think that was a good one. He says your future self will not tolerate nor engage with situations or people that you currently tolerate. As you make courageous decisions based on the future you want to create, you can make bolder leaps into your freedom and success. So we're going to go into chapter 9 now. Chapter 9, some of the key takeaways on this one. Wherever you see brilliant work happening, collaboration is typically happening. You don't have to have all the answers, but it's wise to consider yourself ignorant on most things and seek other people's perspectives and solutions. This Pareto principle comes back. I've mentioned this in several of the books, but apply the 80% rule to move projects forward by not over-obsessing about your part of the project. Get quick, fast feedback. Be radically open and honest in your communications. Ask for help when you need it. Seek to be a hero to those you work with, and you'll do your best work for them. That kind of wraps up that part of the book. So the last one is part 4, freedom of purpose. Chapter 10's takeaways. We focus on how it makes you, when you focus on the how, it makes you rigid and non-collaborative in your thinking. Focusing on how stresses you out because you're already busy. You can't juggle all of these tasks. Focusing on how, again, leads you to being isolated in your goals, ultimately slows your progress. Being isolated in your goals diminishes those long-term dreams. Competition stunts creative innovation and limits your future. That's kind of like a common theme I keep seeing. Collaboration immediately expands your freedom of purpose and vision because what you can do with others is exponentially more than what you can do by yourself. Again, going back to that team component with Michael Jordan, as great as Michael was, if he didn't have Scottie Pippen, if he didn't have his coach running that offense, maybe you don't talk about the Bulls dynasty the same way. As great as Michael is, as great as Tom Brady is, he's nothing without his team. Collaboration allows you to focus on what you want to focus on and not feel guilty about getting help. Collaboration transforms the initial intent of the project into something surprisingly better, more impactful than you would have planned on your own. By expanding your vision, your freedom of purpose also expands. Chapter 11, little bit smaller of a chapter. He talks about only through these who's can the most important miracles and blessings happen in your life. Only through who's can your purpose and life be transformed and expanded. Who's help see the potential in your future, in your work that you can't presently see for yourself. So some of these people you're going to meet in your journey are going to push you beyond what your current vision of yourself is what he's saying here. I kind of agree with that to a degree. I mean, you have to meet people beyond what you've done in your investing career in order to grow. Like I can't imagine somebody just was an overnight success without meeting somebody first that had it together. So expand your vision, giving you the confidence to pursue bigger goals, and your who's become your purpose. I thought that was really cool. And there is a conclusion in the back, and in his index, he has the certain terms he's talked about, but then, links to the strategic coach, I think is really impactful, again, with those one sheet tools that can kind of guide your goal setting process to make it more timely and higher sense of urgency. Overall, I give this book, it was a short book, but it was still really comprehensive, detailed, and easy read for sure. I'll give it a 8 out of 10. So it was a great book, and I enjoyed reading it. Didn't take long to read. So if you're going to pick this one up, I think it aligns nicely with investing in real estate. So beyond that, the tools in there help you kind of narrow down your focus. So I like that piece of it as well. If you guys like the video today, please like and subscribe. But also the next book, I haven't decided if it's going to be the business book or the next real estate book, but it will be out very soon. So stay tuned. And bippity boppity investment property. Looking forward to next week. Let's go.